Let's talk a little bit about the Black Phone, Saw X, and Wednesday. And no, I'm not talking about the day, I'm talking about the evil little girl. Let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
We're gonna get you.
Oh, Lord on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes, death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Wednesday, a brand new series from Tim Burton, all about the Addams Family. Then we're also talking a little bit about the Black Phone 2, got a bit of an update on that, as well as Saw X, the 10th installment in the Saw franchise. Now before I get into this, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. So finally talking about Wednesday on this page, something I've been meaning to do for some time now, but your boy has just been super busy. I'm making a movie right now, I'm running 2 channels, there's just a lot on my plate. I'm very excited for this brand new rendition of the Addams Family. We've had a few different versions of this throughout history, if it's the 60s television show, or if it's like the 90s movies, the new movies, or even the Broadway musical. There's been many different incarnations of the Addams Family, but with this new vision coming from Tim Burton, Colleen Atwood, and also Miles Millar and Alfred Goh from Smallville, the creators of that show, we're gonna have a show that is way closer to the original cartoon that the Addams Family is based on in the first place from Charles Addams himself. Before I really get into that though, let's talk a little bit about the cast for this new show. Catherine Zeta-Jones will be playing the matriarch of Morticia, which is a great casting choice by the way. Luis Guzman as Gomez, Jenna Ortega as the titular Wednesday, and Isaac Ordonez as hapless brother Pugsley. Now you might be wondering to yourself, where's the rest of the Addams Family? And also, where is Uncle Fester? Like, what the heck's going on with that? Alfred Goh has a few very interesting comments speaking about Uncle Fester specifically, where he says, "We have no comments on Uncle Fester, watch the show." Sounds like maybe they got Christopher Lloyd to return from the 90s movies, but hey, what do I know? Maybe it's actually just like Nick Kroll doing it, but like IRL instead of just voicing the character like how he did in the last 2 animated movies. I actually wouldn't be against that either, but come on, Christopher Lloyd just would be amazing, man. Now I gotta admit, the first time I saw this picture, I really thought that Luis Guzman was a weird choice for Gomez. He just looks really goofy, like compared to like for example Raul Julia, who plays Gomez in the 90s movies. He's much more suave, and he's like, oh, he's a tall guy, he's very handsome and all that. And then Luis Guzman, like, not saying he's not handsome, but he's just like, he's a goofier comedian kind of character that typically takes on roles like that. But just like how this Vanity Fair article describes, these characters are supposed to be closer to the original Charles Addams cartoons, which is like a completely different take on like the relationship between Gomez and Morticia. As you can see in this picture right here, you have Gomez looking a little more like brutish and kind of goofy looking compared to Morticia, who is clearly running the show, way more sophisticated than him. So the relationship between these characters is going to be different, but much more faithful to the source material, which I actually appreciate. I think that's pretty cool. And both Catherine Zeta-Jones and Luis Guzman look really good as these characters. Like, this is phenomenal casting so far. To sum up a lot of what Alfred Goh said about the show, essentially he wanted it to be more of like an 8-hour Tim Burton movie, which is why they basically begged Tim Burton to like be a part of this. They even say that Tim was always the Mount Everest of directors. That's a direct quote from Alfred there. So like, they wanted him to be a part of this project. Tim Burton actually passed on the 1991 movie for some reason. I gotta be honest with you, I just feel like this is right up his alley. I can't believe he hasn't done something part of the Addams Family sooner. But apparently he's directed 4 of the episodes of Wednesday out of the 8, and I can't wait to see it sometime this fall. Also, speaking of great casting choices, Jenna Ortega as the titular Wednesday is effing phenomenal. Just look at this set picture. I mean, it's perfect. I'm already happy with it. I haven't even seen the show, and I'm like, this is perfect. She looks just like Wednesday. The facial expression is perfect. That like RBF, man. Jenna Ortega's fantastic. She can really play like so many different wide ranges of characters. She's only 19 years old, but like she can play like a little girl, she can play a college kid, she can play a high school student. We've seen her do all of those things. It's awesome. She's a very talented actress. We of course love her in Scream, and I can't wait to see any other future project she's a part of, really. And my God, has she been busy this year. She's already been in like 5 movies this year, as well as this TV show. It's like insane. There's so much Jenna Ortega. She's a very impressive actress, and she's really making a name for herself as a scream queen in the horror genre. I'm excited that this show is going to be exploring the character much more and having a big focus on her, which apparently it takes place at a new school where she's attending with her brother Pugsley, as well as solving some kind of mysterious murders happening here. So everything about this show sounds pretty dope to me. I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to see it sometime this fall. If you want me to cover this this a little closer, leave me a comment about it. I would love to do more updates on this. Now, we have a small update on the Black Phone 2. Nothing super crazy, but basically, Scott Derrickson is already in talks about making a sequel at some point. Recently, Derrickson told comicbook.com there's already a lot of conversation, a lot of pressure being put on it. I mean, the movie cost $18 million, and it's going to ultimately make probably $160 to $170 million worldwide, so they want another one. Of course they do. Now, before I even get into that quote, this is a huge deal for an original horror movie. Sure, based off of a Joe Hill story, Stephen King's son, so that's probably why it made a lot of that money, but like, this is an original horror movie that, yes, will probably make $160 to $170 million worldwide. That's even more than the latest installment of Scream, which is one of the biggest slasher franchises out there right now. This unexpected hit from Universal has a lot of fans questioning what they could possibly do in a sequel, and would it be easier to do a prequel instead? I've seen a lot of people discuss like, yes, we should do a prequel, that's the only way it makes sense, the grabber is dead at the end of this movie, how could they make a sequel? To that I would argue that a prequel just wouldn't work. Like, think about what's so great about the Black Phone, about Finney overcoming the grabber and like everything that gets set up throughout the film, and then he like takes him out and then runs out, the cops are there, right? He gets saved. It's great. It's like, it's super triumphant, it's super epic. In a prequel, you couldn't have any of that. Like, you would have a bunch of kids getting killed by the grabber. It would just be super dark, super like unfocused. I don't think a prequel would work at all. So sure, logically, it makes sense to want to do a prequel, but I think a sequel makes so much more sense from like just a storytelling standpoint. Don't forget, ghosts are a big factor in this universe. So the ghost of the grabber could still go and haunt Finney or like some of our main characters. And another reason why I would want them to go down the ghost route instead of like just trying to do more things about like the grabber's life is because they set up a lot of things about Finney's mom, who has passed away before the events of the Black Phone, and it never really went anywhere. There was a whole side plot with like Jeremy Davies' character, who plays his very abusive dad, talking about his mother and like why he has to be so abusive against his little, like the little sister character. I think you could do an entire movie where maybe like the ghost of the grabber comes back somehow and like goes and tortures Finney. It's another escape kind of movie along those lines, but then like the mom comes and saves him somehow. That's an unbelievably rough outline of what the sequel to this could be, but that to me is really the only route they could go with it. I don't want to see a prequel with a bunch of kids just getting tortured. That's just awful. I'm down for dark things to happen in horror movies, but they have to have a focus and a point to them. If you just show me a bunch of brutality, that's not fun. That's just a bunch of brutality with no point to it. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Sorry. Now, I've already talked about this, but Scott Derrickson also has a quote talking about author Joe Hill already having an idea for a sequel. To repeat this, Scott Derrickson said, "Joe Hill pitched me a wonderful idea for a sequel to Black Phone that if this movie does well, I'm gonna do it. He's got a great idea. I really like it." When asked about what the sequel could be about, Scott Derrickson said, "Joe's very protective and personal about his material, but he came to me with the idea and I was like, that's how you do a sequel to Black Phone. That's terrific." Once again, another thing I want to point out, he constantly says sequel multiple times in that quote. So I'm sure it's going to be a sequel at this point. I'm sure some of you disagree with me and love a prequel, but I'm sure it's going to be some kind of sequel continuation past the events of the Black Phone. But just to reiterate this, like the best part of the Black Phone to me is how epic that ending is. I mean, like my entire theater watching this was like going nuts when Finney like overcame the grabber. That's so cool. And if I'm spoiling this for you, why are you watching an update on Black Phone 2 if you haven't seen the first one yet? That's not on me, fam. Sorry. And then finally, we have a big ol' update on Saw X, or whatever the heck this thing is going to be called, Saw 10, with a brand new release date as well as a director attached to the film. Now, we already learned a while ago that Josh Stolberg will be writing the movie, but now we have Kevin Grutert attached to direct. If you're unfamiliar with this name, Kevin Grutert actually edited the first 5 Saw movies and then directed 6 and the final chapter. I'm actually really happy that he's directing. He's not only a franchise mainstay, but this is going to be a movie that apparently Josh Stolberg has told us it's going to be focused on John Kramer again. So who better to come back and direct? I mean, Darren Lynn Bousman would be great too, but I'm actually kind of happy Kevin Grutert is coming back to do this. Saw 6 is my personal favorite Saw. I love the traps, I love the story, I love the commentary. It's the smartest Saw film, I think. I don't know. I was really happy with that one, even though, yes, he did do the final chapter, which is one of the worst ones. But hey, Saw 6 is also one of the best, I think. We have a Halloween release date for this as well, October 27th of 2023. No, not Halloween, but like the Friday before that, so that makes sense. That's a Halloween release. Fight me. And let me tell you, 2023 is shaping up to be a great year for horror movies. We have The Exorcist and Saw coming out in October, as well as Insidious 5 and Scream 6. I just love living in a time when horror is popular again. Oh, it's wonderful. Franchise producers Mark Berg and Orrin Coles have said about the film, "We have been listening to what the fans have been asking for and are hard at work, planning a movie that Saw aficionados and horror fans alike will love. And part of that is giving the reins to Kevin Grudert, director of Saw 6, which is still one of the fans' favorites in the entire series. More details will be revealed soon." I think Saw 10 is going to be one of those movies that really satisfies people who are like looking for a continuation to the Hoffman story, looking for more John Kramer, which, yes, it would be awesome to see Tobin Bell come back, play the character again. That would be sweet, don't get me wrong. But like, if this is another movie about something John Kramer set up after his death, I'm barely even interested. I gotta be honest. 4, 5, 6, Final Chapter, and Jigsaw. 5 movies in this franchise are all about things that John Kramer set up before he died, while he was dying of cancer, to happen after his death. It's gotten to a point where it's so unbelievable, man. I say we just move on from this and do something like Spiral, where you have like some kind of copycat killer continuing Jigsaw's work. The problem with Spiral is the mystery is so unbelievably predictable, it kind of blows for that reason. Everything else about Spiral I think is really cool. I love the casting. The characters are fantastic. The saw traps are sweet in that movie. I know some people don't like them, but I don't get it. I think the tar trap and like the fingers getting ripped off the tongue at the beginning, that's brutal, dude. Spiral could have been one of the best Saw movies in this entire franchise if it had a better mystery. I gotta be honest, that was so lackluster. But if you want to start doing that with new Saw films in the future, have this like mystery element to it, be a big part of it, that to me is just way more interesting than continuing like crazy plot lines from the past. Hot take, I know, but I would much prefer that over yet another story that's so similar to 4 through Jigsaw, man. Like, we've seen that done so many times in this franchise. Give me something different. But what do you guys think about Wednesday, Black Phone 2, or Saw X? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this big ol' update video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, please make sure to support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching this video again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.